So the basic principle is very simple. We fall in love with what we have. It's the starting point. It's the way we frame our lives. And getting more of it is good, and getting less of it is terrible. Every time you get to a certain state, you get used to it. And you look at it as that's your starting point. And more is good and worse is terrible, but you don't evaluate your overall success. You take for granted what you have right now. Now, the issue of what we call loss aversion is that we look differently at going down and differently in going up. We're much more upset when we lose money, for example, than when we gain money. And I think this is kind of the ultimate way of looking at the empty half of the glass, right? Because you could have, 20% of the people could believe in your faith, and that could be wonderful. You could lose 2%, and rather than saying, my goodness, I have 18%, you look at the 2% that you have lost. The second thing, of course, is that I think religious organizations in this day and age understand that they need to change. They need to appeal in different ways and have a slightly different message and connect to people in different ways. And this change is incredibly painful, right? Because it's a deviation from what you're doing. It's not always loss or gain. It's not the same issue. But it's really hard. It's really hard to change. You need to be incredibly courageous to say, I'm going to take a very different tact and approach things very, very differently. And I describe in the book how changes that are irreversible are particularly painful. But if you do something, so I talk in the sense of talk about cutting my hand. Again, there's no way back, right? This is clearly there's no way back. But even I think organizational religious changes, some of them have basically no way back. Once you go a certain way, you can't change what you do. And to understand that this is a barrier that is perceived as bigger than it really is, I think is very important. That the fear of going over barriers that we think there's no return back is so high that even when it's a really good decision to do that, we might be prevented from doing this.